Well, hello again. After my last video talking about embracing the sixes and sevens, I thought it'd be fun to do a little highlight video for three of the games on my 2025 top 10 list that were very close to getting that top spot. One of them is not a six or seven; it's definitely much higher than that across the board. But the other two are definitely in that wheelhouse. Starting with this one, which was Hell is Us. This game was in the top contention spot for a really long time. I really had trouble picking my game of the year for 2025. I was going back and forth between these three games for weeks, months, until I finally decided that it was what it was. But uh, Hell is Us is a game that on paper I almost wouldn't have played. The big deal about it is that there's no like quest markers. There's very little in the way of helping you along. You do have like a very detailed quest journal that the main character is updating, but like there's not a map. uh your compass isn't, it really just helps you know where north and south is. It doesn't really, there's nothing marked on it. You do have to pay close attention to dialogue scenes and also the notes that you're picking up and reading. All of that information is used to help you progress through the storyline, solve quests, both main quest and side quests, um, start to figure out what's going on in this weird Eastern European country that's been kind of walled off from the rest of the continent. Uh, there's a lot of really cool uh, interesting story bits in Hell is Us that really kind of grabbed me from the very beginning and didn't let me go until the end. And there's still some mysteries that I haven't like. There's questions that I have that haven't been answered. I think it's mainly because I think that there's a true ending that you get if you finish like every side quest and get every secret. And I was a little bit shy of that, and had kind of had my fill by the end. The last dungeon, for lack of a better term, kind of had gone on for a while, and so I was happy when I was finished. Not that it was like a bad experience by any means. I was just like I was like I'm done. Like I'm satisfied with that. I do like the way that like, because it is this old country, but then you'll solve a puzzle and then it'll lead you into a doorway that opens up into another area. And I don't even really want to talk about like what that area might entail, but it I was constantly astounded by the places that I visited and the sites that I saw in Hell is Us. um I think it's got phenomenal music. I think it looks really nice. I kind of feel that it's a nice blend of like a Bethesda RPG with a little bit of Souls influence, but very, very small Souls influence. A little bit of a character action influence in there as well. Um, and it just works on multiple levels for me. I really enjoyed it. I think some of the negatives for me and kind of what kept it from that top spot, main character is kind of purposefully unlikable. He refers to himself as a sociopath, which is kind of interesting. So it's a little bit hard to kind of root for him. Also, I think that the combat, like you have way too many tools in your toolbox for how limited the variety and skill of the enemies that you fight is. I'm not even like a huge like, oh, things got to be like super hard or challenging or whatever, but at a certain point you'll get to where you're so proficient in the combat in Hell is Us that really no scenario that you're presented with is gonna mess with you. And so that's kind of a bummer. I also would have liked to have seen like some like, there's a couple like sort of boss fights, but not really. Nothing that you would want, again, considering how good, like how much that you have at your disposal combat wise. Like you kind of want to be able to test your metal against some like really cool like fucked up looking bosses, especially in this game, and you don't really get that for the most part. So that was also a little bit of a bummer. But overall, had a wonderful time with the game. It was one of those things where I was just like locked in for it until it was done. I was kind of playing that and only that, just really super invested in it, and I do recommend it. It's one of those games that really flew under the radar. In another year, like if this had come out in like 2020 or 2021, I think it probably would have garnered a lot larger uh attention, but we've been on like a 3-year streak of just phenomenal years of video games, and unfortunately there wasn't a lot of room for Hell Is Us. I also think it came out like right around the same time as like another like really huge release of the year, so that didn't do it any favors. But I love recommending games to people. It comes from my old days of working in video games retail, and I do recommend Hell Is Us, especially if you find it on a decent discount. Give it a shot. I think you might enjoy it. But that's going to do it for this episode. Next time, I will tell you about the second game that was almost my 2025 game of the year. Bye.